All right. So we are live. Well, anyway, hello. My name is Lowell Francis, and I'm one of the coordinators for the Gauntlet Gaming community, which I'll mention the details on that at the very end. But I'm also the co-author of Hearts of Wulin, along with Agatha Cheng. This is a Powered by the Apocalypse game of wuxia romance and melodrama. We've did our character creation and first events last time. What we're going to do tonight is we're going to look at each of the characters. We're going to talk about their entanglements. We're going to position ourselves to where we were at the end of the last month's session, and we're going to get rolling. Before we do that, let's have our players introduce themselves before they introduce their characters. I'm going to work across the top. Saad, do you want to start?
Sure. Hello everyone, I'm Sod_ on Twitch. I'm also doing production, so if you see me turn my head like that, it's probably because I'm looking at production stuff. And I am playing a character named Bai Xiaofen, also known as the White Wind. And he is a medical doctor, who was ostracized from the community after failing to heal a very high-ranking member, in fact the leader of a group known as the Gallant Saber Guardians.
Excellent. And we'll come back and talk about your entanglements after the introductions here in just a second. But next, let's come over to Kat.
Oops, here, let me mute and unmute myself a few times.
There we go.
Hello, everybody. I'm Kat Rambo. I am a writer and an editor, and I am Lowell's sister. And I will see a lot of you at Gen Con in a couple of weeks. Oh, and I should say who I'm running. I'm running Young Turtle. She is a woman who is a former assassin of the Dark Cobweb faction, but currently at odds with that faction because it has ordered her to kill her twin brother, an order which she decided to reject.
Excellent. I like you not killing your brother. I'm appreciative of that particular detail. That's good. And finally, Mike.
Hi, everybody. I'm Mike Underwood. I write as Michael R. Underwood. I do science fiction and fantasy. A lot of folks on the channel know me because I'll hang out and bug Greg since Arv and I co-host the Speculate podcast, which is another actual play podcast. We also do interviews and feature games and things. And if you're here, you generally know that, but I'll go ahead and plug it just in case you're new. I am playing Heaven's Justice, or Tian Yu, who is a kind of a masked thief using the Bravo playbook. He was the youngest son of a merchant family whose family was ruined by a corrupt magistrate. And then Tian was taken in by a righteous magistrate and trained in kind of combat and kind of spycraft sneakery. And now he seeks justice / revenge on this corrupt magistrate, Silver Crane.
Excellent. So what we're going to do tonight is our characters built a series of entanglements. Entanglements are triangles, essentially a relationship between that character and an NPC and usually a PC. And we've got those worked out. But we always start each session by looking at those, seeing if any of those need to be changed, and also having our characters, our players, highlight one of them as the one they'd really like to see on screen for the evening. So we're in the same order that we just did. We're going to go and talk to each of the characters and see what their entanglements are and what that might mean. Also, I just want to remind you and everybody who's at home, we'll use basic online safety tools for RPing, which means that we use the X card, which can be used for tone, objection material, content, anything like that. That is on the table. That can be done either through a visual marker or text chat, just to remind you. So if you're at home and you see us talking about that, that's something that might occur. But let's go back to Bao Xiaofeng, the White Wind. Is it the White Wind or just White Wind?
I think we'll just use White Wind. The White Wind may sound a little bit too over the top.
Well, and let me ask you this: why are you called White Wind?
I think it's because of his ability to manipulate the cloth. It just looks like white cloth just flowing through the wind.
Okay.
His ability to do that is a little bit like compared to other doctors, he has like a really good handle on that compared to them. So he was given that title as part of his medical training.
Ah, so it is a title that comes from your former order.
Yes.
Okay. And you have a couple of elements that are marked right now: earth and water. So we'll talk about that after.
One of them was I got struck by one of the assassins that attempted to take me out, and was also when right at the start of the session when I met Crystal Flower, as that was a event that my character was dreading for years to have to come back and deal with this situation. And now the setup here is that the character that we have off stage tonight, because Joyce couldn't make it, Crystal Flower, she came to bring you here to care for a person you'd cared for before. Yes. So her leader, Lian Hua, she befell an unknown illness, and that's the reason why I'm now ostracized, because I tried to heal her, but something happened, and she fell into a coma, and so she's been stuck like that for a while, and I had to kind of flee because of that.
And so let's talk about those two entanglements there. That's the primary one that you're working on is the fact that you have this obligation to go back to this household. Yep. Though, and it's Crystal Flower that is impinging on it. But the real thing is less Crystal Flower than it is having to go back to the household.
Yeah.
Right?
So I don't know if you can have a bond with a faction. So
yes, yep, you can.
You can. Yeah. So would it be better to switch it from Crystal Flower to the Gallant Saber Guardians then?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
It's fair for you to change that.
All right, done. And I've got Young Turtle as my other entanglement, as I am currently engaged to her through, I would say, her grandmother kind of pestering. I mean, while I was currently away from the capital, I traveled around.
She doesn't know about the fact that you had this entanglement, this connection to Ling Hua, and doesn't know about you putting this woman in a coma.
Correct. She doesn't know anything about it.
Okay. So if you wanted to, which of those two would you say this is the one I definitely want to see on screen tonight?
Honestly, both.
Okay.
It's a pull from both directions type of thing. So it really works out well in my opinion.
Well, which one do you want to highlight for XP purposes?
I mean, in the current, I would say the Saber Guardians currently, because that's where, as we're currently heading in that direction, at least.
So the romantic entanglement is the one you want to highlight.
Yes.
Okay. All right. And that should be pretty easy to have happen. So we will come back to you on that. And you're happy with those two entanglements that you've got there? Do you need to make any changes to them?
No, I'm happy with them.
Okay. All right. Then let's come to Cat and Young Turtle. Let's talk about your two entanglements, your romantic and your general. Tell us what they are all about.
So my romantic is that I am engaged to Bai Xiaofeng, but although I'm very fond of them, I know that they actually pine for Ling Hua.
Excellent. And so he doesn't know that you know, and you don't know that he doesn't know that you don't know.
Yes.
Enough to put. Okay.
And I wanted to clarify, because I believe that in our current configuration, I do not recognize him as my fiance, but I wanted to make sure of that before we started play, because that seemed important.
What do you recall of that, Bai Xiaofeng?
I thought it was I thought we made it so, because I as I was traveling around, I met your faction and I helped out a bit, and your grandmother kind of pushed that. I kind of like the idea of your grandmother kind of pushing that. I guess
we mean, has she recognized you? I think you have seen I think we have established that who this is. That is Bai Xiaofeng.
Yeah, we have met, definitely, and all that.
Because I think there was an introduction in the street last time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We finished off where we were in the apothecary, and Tian Yu dropped the I think it was like the pepper or something like that, and caused just a huge cloud of dust, and we all kind of darted out because it was completely covered, completely filled, and then we had like a bit of an argument in the street.
And then your other entanglement, your general one, is
that my sibling Hao disparages me, but my grandmother, the blacksmith who's given both of us our weapons, won't condemn his actions for some reason.
And by disparaging it, you mean he thinks that you tried to kill him, and that you're an assassin.
Yeah, that's one way to put it. Yes,
that's one way to put it. And he is in fact affiliated with the magistrates that are connected to our third character. Which one of those two would you like to highlight?
I would like to. I think last time we sort of pushed the brother Hao had just shown up, and I would like to keep going with that storyline, although I'm also fond of the other one. So like Saad, I'm kind of like both are fine, but the brother one is good.
Okay, I'm going to highlight that. Okay, I'm going to move this cat, who is at this moment causing
no.
So you guys sit in your little box over here, okay? All right, so that gives sense. Let's come to our third character, Heaven's Justice. Tian Yu. And Heaven's Justice is a name that you gave yourself, I believe, right?
Yeah. So as the thief subtype of Bravo playbook, you get a legendary name as a thief. So he has kind of a split identity. So as Heaven's Justice, he has a reputation of being a champion of the people, exposing corruption. And as Tian Yu, he is kind of a mild-mannered merchant son who's kind of adrift in Wulin.
But associated, or at least friends with, the magistrates, right?
Right. And because on entanglements, his romantic entanglement is that he's in love with Magistrate Gao, who has been assigned to investigate Heaven's Justice. So they have kind of a Superman, Clark Kent, Lois Lane thing going on. But Magistrate Gao is fixated on the mysterious assassin Young Turtle. Like, she wants to crack that case. So she's more interested there than in other things. And like there's that kind of his pursuit and her attention drawn elsewhere. And then his general entanglement is that he seeks to bring Silver Crane to justice for crimes against his family, so that his mother, who I have as Min Yu, may retire in peace. The family was ruined by the corrupt magistrate, and so his mother, who should be able to retire and kind of enjoy her later years with her other children taking over the family merchant business. But because their fortunes were ruined, she's had to kind of redouble and find a way to put money together and keep going.
And one of the complexities of this, I believe we established, sort of, is that Magistrate Gao is sort of under Silver Crane in that sort of pecking order of things, right?
Yeah.
So of those two entanglements, which one do you want to focus on? Which one do you want to highlight?
I'd like to highlight the romantic one, because I'd love to see Magistrate Gao on screen to establish those characters' relationships. And that also still shares some spotlight with Young Turtle characterizing from outside.
And I think what we're going to do is we're going to take up with the three of you after this incident at the apothecaries. And there would be a scene here by Xiaofeng with a somewhat short-tempered, more than usual Crystal Flower is confused by the whole of the situation. And she would say to you, Bai Xiaofeng, you give me your word that you will come to the household?
Yes. I need to deal with this.
Then I will hold you to that, but I must go and speak to others and inform them of the situation. I trust that you will come. And she takes her leave of you.
I kind of like have to bow as she leaves to kind of show respect, you know.
And it will be the three of you, Young Turtle, Tian Yu, and Bai Xiaofeng there in the aftermath of the apothecary. You know that someone came to kill Bai Xiaofeng, and this young snake, the person who was at the apothecaries, is the person who hired. Now the situation is this in the city, is that the Iron Delegates, of which Silver Crane is associated, are one of the other two factions besides the Gallant Saber Guardians. There are these three orthodox factions. And the leader of the Gallant Saber Guardians has primary position amongst those families, but she's in a coma. And right now, there's a push being made to essentially turn over leadership of the group. And that's why you've been called back so suddenly by Xiaofeng, because they're desperate for a solution. Because if something is not done shortly, then the Iron Delegates will probably have control of the whole Orthodox Wulin group. Tian Yu, you were briefly in your Heaven's Justice identity, correct? But now you've swapped back.
Yeah, so we saw that he has like a reversible jacket, and he has like leg ties and a face mask that he kind of quick changes between.
And where would you, you seem like the person who maybe has the most okay, we need to kind of do this thing. Where would you take the three of you? Where would you go? Do you have a household? Would you go to another tea house? Would you go to a hideout? Where would you take them? Because clearly you need to speak.
Yeah, I think I like the idea that that Tien has a apartment with a secret room that has like his Batman-y kinds of stuff in it.
Okay.
But that the kind of apartment itself is above the tea house that we saw in the first episode.
Okay.
Because we established that that Tien is friends with or friendly with Bright Peony, who's the teenage daughter of Great Peony, who is the renowned restaurateur innkeeper of that place. So I think Tien would take them back and then up around the back entrance to it's basically a supplemental storage room, but this inn does so much business that storage room isn't really being used because stuff gets used kind of as it comes in. So this is more like, it's like holiday supplies, like fireworks or like dragon puppet or whatever, and then Tien has like a very modest apartment set up there, and then mostly just eats in the inn. So he would have like a low table and a couple of cushions for the others to sit around, and I think there would constantly be the sound of a kitchen and the smells from the kitchen in the background.
And Young Turtle, what do you think is the thing that you will notice when you come in that says to you that this is not a place that Tian Yu spends much time in?
Oh, I pause in the doorway and we see my glance kind of pan over the room, and then sees a absolutely dusty mug and tea kettle lying on their side with a kind of cobwebs dripping from the teapot. What you call it? The thing that the water comes out of.
Spout.
Wording hard. Yes, spout. Cobwebs dripping from the spout. And you see my kind of eyebrow go up as I notice how deserted this seems.
And within probably a few minutes of you three of you arriving, Bright Peony comes up with some hot water and such for you, Tian, and will say, "I'm sorry, I don't have anything more. We're still cleaning up. There was a fight in the tavern earlier."
Is everyone all right?
Yes, there was some damage, some windows and such, but a few tables, but not too much. It could have been much worse.
I'll come by tomorrow morning and see if there's anything I can do to help. I learned a bit of carpentry growing up back home.
That would be most appreciated.
Would I be able to get a bowl of hot water as well?
Oh yes. Do you look like a doctor? When she sees you, okay.
It's pretty obvious. I've got like traveling pouches full of herbs. You can see a couple sticking out, and
then she will. Yes, honored uncle, and we'll pour some water for you there.
I actually start taking off my shirt and like looking at the wound, and like now that everyone you both now, because you saw like probably a bandaged up, covered with my shirt over with a little scratch there with a bit of blood there, but now as I take it off you see like there's a huge scrape along there, and it's been stitched up, but there's like a little few bits of bleeding here and there from Crystal Flower's attempted sewing up.
and she looks away in modesty, and she will turn to you, young turtle, and says, "Is there anything that you need, grandmother?"
Oh, no, young lady, no, there's nothing that I need.
All right. And she will bow and take her leave of you.
Autumn, I'm sorry for yelling you just then. I didn't mean to. Just dealing with Crystal Flower is, let's just say it's not something I really wanted to do, but it's been a day already and I'm very stressed out.
I'll nod sympathetically while kind of looking a little distant as I'm processing everything that's been going on.
So it seems like the families have returned to the city. Do you know why? And this is like he asks, kind of looking between the two.
I've been out of the capital for a while, so I haven't really kept up to date with what's happening.
I've had other things on my mind and have not been paying as much attention as I should have, I'm afraid.
However, I do have something. The apothecary that we were in, why were you there, dear?
I'm sorry, it's been a month, so I'm trying to remember exactly why I had gone in because I had followed a messenger there.
Yes.
Yes, I had followed a messenger there, and then when I entered, just very strange apothecary met my eyes, as you can tell. That very menacing fellow.
Yeah. So the person who did this, and I kind of like show the scar, they were called the Black Mountain Sect. Have you heard of them? And I kind of like look towards both of you.
See what?
Go ahead.
What kind of role would that be to, like, kind of identify setting knowledge?
That would be a study role.
Okay. Yeah, I think this is the kind of thing that Tien could plausibly know.
Absolutely. There are some playbook moves that give you automatic knowledge, but this would be a study role for this.
Yeah.
What would you like to roll that with?
I think I'm going to roll that with wood under curiosity in terms of little bits and pieces that he would have picked up. And so I have a +1 wood, and I rolled an 11, so that is a 12, which definitely 10 plus.
So you're going to get 2 hold. You can spend that to ask a question or make a declaration on a 1-for-1 basis.
I'm gonna. I think the question is going to be, what does Tien know most motivates that faction?
They are a splinter from the Dark Cobweb Assassins, who are more mercenary. Like the Dark Cobweb has been sinister and moving behind the scenes and putting things into place. They are known. I mean, the Cobweb describes their spider-like web, whereas the Black Mountain sect, they are assassins for hire, most definitely. So money is what pushes them. Money and ambition. Does that seem like a fair answer?
Yeah. And I think I want to establish a detail with the other hold.
Sure.
That Tien has actually that he came up against an assassin of this sect when he was bringing down a corrupt official in a neighboring city.
And did you fight them? Did you defeat them? Did you make friends with them? How did that work out?
I think the assassin was targeting this this magistrate, which, like, as Tien learned more details about the assassin sect, was confusing. And I think that there was a little bit of a détente, and they fought over who would basically get to address the magistrate, and came to a draw. So they agreed to kind of meet again the next night, but Tien discovered the dawn of the next day that that magistrate was already dead. So he believes that this assassin broke that agreement that they had.
And his name is Weeping Shark. So you do know one of these members of the Black Mountain sect. You know that he does operate here in the city. You know what they look like, and certainly you could hit the streets to try and track them down.
So this Weeping Snake person, do they have any connection to someone?
Shark.
It's a Weeping Shark, sorry, person. Do they have a connection to anyone named Young Snake? Because we were able to cause the assassins to flee. It was mainly Crystal Flower, but they said that they were hired by someone named Young Snake, and that person was running that apothecary that we were just coming out of.
And to refresh, one of the senses that you got about Young Snake is that rather than being part of this Black Mountain sect, is that he is an operative for Silver Crane. Like, he is one of Silver Crane's hench persons.
So that would be for Tien, you'd know that.
Right.
Okay. So yeah, I think Tien would relay some, like, the basic information about that sect. Like, oh, I heard from some magistrates, I don't know, must have been a few weeks ago, talking about these assassins, and some business about a magistrate turning up dead in the city to the north. They suspected the assassin, but at least when I heard them talking, they didn't have the case closed. But they did give a description of a suspect, and I think I could identify them if I saw them here.
Do you think if we try and follow the trail of the apothecary, we may be able to get a lead?
I don't know why not. And I'm going to intercept the bowl of hot water that's coming through the doorway and use it to scrub away the old woman disguise, sort of like in one swift maneuver, and then hand the bowl of hot water back.
So Kat, have either of the two seen Autumn not using this disguise?
I don't think that they have.
I was able to pierce through the disguise.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so I don't think Tien did, unless we're going to establish that Tien and Autumn knew each other otherwise. All this time?
Yes. And I'll just quirk a little bit of a smile.
What did you need to be doing as a grandmother?
Oh, this or that. Sometimes one needs to do things. I'm going to busy myself sort of checking on my little traps that sort of are through my robes and obviously avoiding any further question.
Now, let me ask you this, Tianyu. You were childhood friends with young Turtle. How long has it been since you've seen her in this sort of revealed form?
I think it's probably been like 15 years. I think we'd established that the young Turtle / Autumn was maybe a bit older than Tien. So I think she left the town or village, and then he grew up, and so his family being ruined would have been after she left.
Right. She had looked after him as when he was a child.
Yeah, and that's probably the connection that set up how Zhao would have kind of come and picked Tien up when the family was ruined.
Mm-hmm.
What a strange life you must have lived if you need to be running around with disguises like that.
I don't have to now say I'm engaged to a very old person. Thank you. It's very confusing to people.
Have you been back to the village?
Not recently. Last time I was there, things had changed too much. There were too many memories.
Wait, you know each other? So I don't need to do any introductions? Oh, thank you.
She would boss around the group of friends, all the children in the village, and show us a couple of moves here and there. And then I think Tien strikes like a wide mountain pose. He's like, I learned this from her.
And she'll mirror it perfectly and be like, ha, you've learned so well. I remember those days.
I'll actually give off a little smirk at how silly that is. And as I've spent a lot of my time focused on my studies, I never really thought about my childhood much. It's been, the recent events has just been a lot on my mind. You definitely see a smile come from Bai Xiaofeng.
Yeah, would this kind of reminiscence of childhood joy be something where we could give you a comfort or support for helping to heal?
Yeah, and I think that's it. We're out of sort of a action phase. I think that we can do that as sort of the montage. One of the things we can do is in a scene. So Saad, if you think that this is a moment of relaxation, of comfort, you can clear one of those two elements. We don't even have to have
and is able to spend time to properly heal up make sure that the wound is also get rid of water.
Good. And as the three of you are sitting here, you will realize, probably young Turtle, you're the one who will realize this the soonest, is it's gotten. You've heard all the noise of the restaurant and inn downstairs and stuff, and that has gotten much quieter.
I don't smell dumplings cooking anymore, and things have gotten very quiet. Tilt my head.
Tien kind of maybe pulls back a curtain to see that it can't be late enough for the kitchen to have closed.
Mm-hmm.
That is very strange. Perhaps there was a meeting.
Perhaps someone followed us here.
Kind of Tian's thoughts go to the Peony family immediately, and then perhaps we should go down and make sure everyone is all right.
Very well.
And the three of you can go downstairs. Young Turtle, what do you look like now when you're going downstairs?
I think right now I look like, oh gosh. I think I look like my brother Hal, sort of disguised him.
Then it will come as something of a shock when the three of you kind of come downstairs, and you will see that there are several magistrates in the tavern, including Magistrate Gao, your good friend Tian, as well as Hao Zhao. Your brother is there, Young Turtle.
My eyes go very wide for just a second.
You are disguised as him right this second.
That's amazing.
I'd say I'm down the stairs and I notice it, and I look around and see Young Turtle knows, and I'm like, stop. Go back and change. Brothers downstairs right now.
And I will begin backing up as moving in reverse to go upstairs.
Very quietly.
Could I have you please make an overcome roll?
I'm rolling a
draw
D.
attention.
And one or both of us aid by, like, Tian would kind of throw open his arms and greet his master to try to draw attention.
Let's see if that's. Let's start with her roll, and then comfort and support always comes after the roll. So, what do you want to roll with for that, Young Turtle?
I am going to roll with fire for speed, but remind me what sort of die I'm rolling. Is it a
2d6? 2d6.
All right, so a 4 and a 4, so 8 plus 2, 10.
10. So you start to do that, Tian, but even as you do that, Young Turtle is already with stickers. And Magistrate Gao sees you and looks to you and goes, my good friend Tian. And Hao sees you and my disciple, and looks to the two of you, and Hao kind of clearly lets Gao. He's kind of clearly trying not to intrude on this, so he lets Gao kind of take her space, and she will walk forward to see the two of you, and we'll greet you, Tian. How are you? Are you well?
I'm doing okay. And here we see that around Gao, Tian has really none of the confidence or smoothness that he, or kind of the ease that he had with his friends, and he kind of fidgets and stammers over his words, and kind of is a little shrunken, because he's aware of this kind of dual relationship, and the guilt of it weighs on him, and so he ends up being very kind of awkward and nervous around Gao.
And who is your friend?
And Bai Xiaofeng, you're traveling under that name?
Yes.
And that's this is my friend Dr. Bai Xiaofeng. He helped me out when I got accosted a few months ago. Nothing really worth talking about. It was yes. So this is the doctor.
Pleasure.
This is Magistrate Gao, and
so you're the doctor that they mentioned was here earlier when the attack occurred.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Then we are well met. Perhaps you and Tian would come and speak with me. We're trying to get the sense of exactly what occurred here.
Yes, sir.
Come and sit, and gestures to the two of you to come over to a table. The other magistrates are like talking to people and clearly getting some statements. Yeah. The peonies, mother and daughter, are not happy about this because this is kind of cutting into their time here. But she would shake out gestures for the two of you to sit, and has tea brought over to you.
You should definitely try the dumplings. The dumplings that they have here are truly amazing, and they do special. And he kind of makes the designs with his hands, the special patterns, especially on holidays.
I know some believe there is always time for dumplings, but at a time like this, I cannot agree with them. But we will come to that later. Now, let me ask, cut briefly back up to young Turtle. What are you disguising yourself as now?
Well, you see her kind of upstairs frowning and looking down and sort of like trying one disguise and then another. And then you see her finally takes on the disguise of looks like a nursemaid of some kind holding a baby when the camera sort of pans over the baby, you can see that the baby's actually been sort of fashioned out of a pillow. That she starts moving downstairs carrying this. Oh, I have to get this child outside.
And certainly as you come through, you will see your two friends have kind of been cornered by Gao. And you'll see your brother is standing there watching the room, like clearly keeping his eye out like a hawk.
Can I study him to see if he remembers me? Like if he noticed that? Because he would know that he may or may not know about myself and young Turtle.
Let's start with young Turtle's action, and then I'm going to come to you on that study action. Okay. The young Turtle, what is it you want to do? Do you want to try and stay quiet here, or do you want to try and pass through?
I'm going to stay quiet because I would like to be able to come to the aid of my friends if they need it. But at the same time, I'm trying to get sort of behind my brother rather than close to him.
Okay. Yeah, you can position yourself in the room pretty easily. That's not a problem. You had that wonderful 10 plus on the earlier overcome, so I think you kind of get yourself settled in with your pillow baby and position yourself back there. Your brother just seems to be like not wanting to interfere, but clearly like has the look of someone who's on the trail of something. So let's then have Bai Xiaofeng, let's have you make that study roll.
So I'm going to use water for that.
Okay.
Get 6, 7.
7, so you get 1 hold.
Yeah. So going to I'm going to check if he just remembers me from a long time ago when I first met their family.
You have the sense that he has not been in touch with the village, so he may not even be aware that young Turtle and Bai Xiaofeng are engaged. And he certainly hasn't recognized you because you look very different. I mean, this is a very long time ago.
Yeah.
So he hasn't quite put 2 and 2 together. Okay. It also means he hasn't heard that you've been called back. Like he doesn't know about your being pulled back because of the gallant Sacred Guardians or anything.
Okay, good. So you see me kind of get off a sigh, and I say, Magistrate Gao, I apologize. My assistant, Autumn, over there is just taking care of a patient, a little one. If that's okay with you, I may have to go over and just check on her occasionally.
Certainly. Just, she says, I understand that there was a battle. There were some assassins here, and that the villain known as Heaven's Justice showed up.
I've heard that was him.
That is my understanding. One of the witnesses spoke of a masked figure in the rafters.
And
certainly his chain style is unique.
Okay, well, While I was while this was happening inside, I was actually outside, and there was a few, I assume, bandits, thieves that tried to attack me, and I kind of like showed the wound that I've got, and I say they struck me across the chest. However, you know Crystal Flower from the Gallant Saber Guardians, she was passing by, and she basically saved me.
Ah, well, I will have to speak with her then. But the Heaven's Justice aside, and Gao leans forward towards Yutian and says, "I also heard a rumor, a little twinkle in Gao's eye, that young Turtle might have been here."
Young Turtle? I don't think I haven't heard of.
No, you've heard me speak. You've heard me speak of her. She is.
I thought the last time she was sighted was nearly 3 weeks travel from here, and just a week ago.
She is here, though. I know she's here, and she looks like she's super excited, animated about this. Like, she's like, I can't. That this is my opportunity. I will finally catch this assassin. And she shows you all that passion that she would have for a beloved there. If I could have you roll inner conflict.
Oh yeah. I think I'm gonna basically expect to take a dive on this. I'm gonna roll Earth, caution, focus, presence, because I'm having to both conceal my own identity and conceal my disappointment. So I'm going to roll at a -1. So I got an 8 on the dice. -1 is a 7.
So you have a choice. You can mark Earth and keep yourself steady there, or you can kind of embarrassingly flee the scene.
I think I'm going to mark Earth. Let's go back here. And I think kind of how that manifests is that he's present, but he's kind of like he's really, really focused on his tea, and he's like just looking at the tea like he's divining from it, but all it is that kind of he's shut himself, he's put up walls and put his focus there.
And you will notice this, Baishaw, and you'll probably pick up on this, even as this magistrate Gao has pulled out these papers and has these sketches, and this is the disguise she had in the City of Flowers, and this is the drawings of the daggers that she has. And oh, look at this. This is I got a sketch together from what I think it looks, and it holds up. It's not a great likeness of her grandmother disguised from today, but it's not bad. And I think this is the one that she came into the city in. And she kind of shuffles and pulls those papers back together.
Those are some nice drawings, Mr. Gao. You have good talent.
I've learned. Keep my eyes and ears open. If young Turtle is here, I will spot them.
Yes, safety of the capital is very important.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
you can see in the background of all of this, young Turtle's eyes kind of getting wider and wider, and then she hastily ducks her head down towards the baby and says, "Oh, what's that? You say you need some air? Oh, boy, oh." Then begins taking step after step towards the door.
Yes?
My apologies, I was just going to tell my assistant she can take her outside, and I'll check on her shortly.
Oh, please, go ahead.
And so I kind of get up and go over to young Turtle and whisper to her, "Are you okay heading out? And if you need to hide somewhere."
I'll just kind of, I'll be sort of nodding and saying, the baby needs some air, and sort of gradually edging towards the door.
Air is very good for a child, as the more oxygen helps it grow. fresh city air is among the best.
It's vital. It's vital to their growth, and I will just keep gradually and inexorably moving towards the doorway.
And you will absolutely be able to help young turtle slide out. Magistrate Gao says, "Well, what do you think, Tian?"
Kind of starts up. I think that if there are assassins and other individuals here, then you may have quite a lot of work set out for you. Have you talked to other people about what's the other one? The other one's name?
Oh, Heaven's Justice or Young Turtle?
The first one. Did you talk to anyone here, or the Bright Peony? I think she was here.
Yeah, I did. I have a sense. My assumption is that Heaven's Justice is one of Young Turtle's lackeys.
Oh, well, that's. Do you know who was fighting who?
No, that's what we're trying to ascertain. But the persons that they fought took off.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't see any of it when the fighting broke out. I jumped out a window. You know, I'm not.
Oh no, you're no warrior. You're a merchant. So we wouldn't expect for you to stand and to fight in such a situation.
Yes, I think in that moment, kind of Tian shrinks under his expectation of the gaze of his teacher, because in this specific triangulation, he's having to play a very specific role that diminishes the time and effort that his teacher put in, and he feels bad about that as well.
Oh yeah, your teacher's looking at you with a certain amount of disappointment. And you will hear Hao say, Magistrate Gao, while it is a pleasure to see my former protege, you and I must be off. There's a gathering of the magistrates to see to the security of the city. So we must go and meet with Silver Crane and the others. And she goes, yes, I'm sorry. I will speak with you again, Tian. It was a nice conversation with you.
All right, I hope you enjoyed the tea. They are a foundation of the neighborhood, and I'm very glad that we were able to share a cup here.
And please give my apologies to them for having disrupted their business, but the needs of the city, as you know, you were trained. And she rises, goes, calls her men to her, and she and Hal will head out. And they kind of get outside, pass by and Young Turtle, and they head off down the street without a glance back.
I think.
Dealing with magistrates. Been a while since I've had to deal with one.
You see Young Turtle sort of blithely toss the pillow baby over her shoulder, and when it lands, there's a kind of puff of smoke that makes it clear that there was a trap inside it ready to go off.
the smoke bomb.
Smoke bomb pillow baby.
Some cat scurries off.
Yeah. So Tian, I assume there's a few minutes. You speak with the Peony mother and daughter. They thank you for having diffused the situation, and you can head outside to meet up with your two compatriots.
And I think like we see that scene, and Tian kind of reaches to the side and grabs a cup of plum wine and shoots it and sets it back down, and then like pushes his hair back and kind of is all the way put together again as he steps outside.
Absolutely. A babyless young turtle and Bai Xiaofeng are outside awaiting you.
Can't believe you were thinking of putting a smoke trap in there. Imagine if you...
It's a classic. You always go with the classics.
Oh, I can't. I didn't even know that was a classic. I don't know much about the trade that you're in.
I will start. It's clear that young turtle starts to say something and is like, well, no, I really shouldn't talk about that, and bites her lip. And it's like, yes, well, we should get about things.
Tian. All well?
Well enough. It will be harder to find the truth when we're not the only ones trying to do so, and when they're on the wrong path. When two carts try to share the road, things get tricky.
That's why you got to widen the road. So I was thinking perhaps we could go back over to where the apothecary was and see if we can find any clues there. That's the only lead I can come up with, unless you have any better ideas.
That seems like a good idea to me. Young Snake's last known location.
What are we into, like evening or late evening now?
I would say it's probably early evening by this point, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I think a bit of investigation makes sense. Of course. If the factions are moving, things will become dangerous once night falls.
Mm-hmm. And I have a bit of a time limit on what I can do, so I'd rather get as much done as possible and have this contract on me rescinded, at least, and whoever's behind it stopped.
And I think we can cut to the three of you back at that somewhat downscale neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
You will reach the apothecaries. You can see that the slat marking it as an apothecary has been removed. Kind of peek inside, and you can see that people have clearly come through and packed up things and moved them along. They may have left evidence behind, but somebody has tried to cover their tracks here by dismantling this place that you have a sense was probably a network point of contact. So would one of you like to search the scene, to study the scene?
Yeah, I'm happy to do that. I'll use metal for that.
Please do.
Gonna go all in, so if this fails and I have to mark or something like that, but it won't be.
Absolutely.
Oh boy. Okay, here we go. We get a 6 plus 2, 8.
So you're going to get one hold. That'll allow you to ask a question about a person, about a situation, or declare a detail.
How about a detail on the possible whereabouts of young Snake? Like the piece of paper or something that was ripped and torn?
Do you want to declare that, or are you asking it as a question?
I'll probably ask it as a question. Any kind of clue?
So you want to know where young Snake would be from here?
Yeah, if there's any type of clue for that.
I think that you will find that there is a particular scrap of cloth, like maybe caught from a handkerchief or something like that, and you kind of look at it. It's an unusual color, and the scent that is on it is striking, a certain kind of sandalwood, and you three of you will know that in the great canal that runs through the capital, there is a gambling barge that is there, that is free by eats, and that this handkerchief and the smell seems to have come from there for some reason, some linkage there.
You can smell. Look at this. I see, being a bit of a medical doctor, cloth is kind of a specialty of mine. The smell in this, alcohol, definitely. Probably the smell of some smoke of some sort, and seems to be perhaps a bit of like salty, bit of salt to it. So I'm thinking perhaps somewhere along the Great Canal, perhaps somewhere along there. I haven't been to the capital for a while. I do remember the gambling barge that was quite popular among mischievous kinds. Do you know anything? I kind of look towards Young Turtle and Tianyu.
Young Turtle, do you want to study the scene as well? We can do another study check.
I do.
What would you like to roll with?
I'm going to roll. I'm going to roll with water, which gives me no plus. But 3
so
and
2d6.
2. 5.
So a 5. We're going to come back to that in just one second. I want to give Tian a chance if Tian wanted to do a move.
Sure, I will. I will study with wood, which is a +1.
Okay.
So I got an 8 on the dice, +1 is 9.
So 9. So you also have 1 hold.
I'd like to know why they were here in this place, and maybe some kind of motivation of the choice of this location as like a pop-up or drop-off point.
Let me see here. You have the sense that Silver Crane has deployed his spy network out, not just here, but probably in several other places, that he probably has agents among the Gallant Saber Guardians and amongst the third group, the White Vision Sword Authority, that he wants to get reports from them. And this is one of those places that was done for that purpose. One of the things is that this is not that far away from the Gallant Saber Guardians training hall. Like, it's very close to there. So it's a good location to keep an eye on the affairs of the Gallant Saber Guardians.
And I think
Does that sound like a fair answer?
Yeah, I think looking at that, Tian would say, kind of look at this, and then kind of look out to the street and says, with the Gallant Saber Guardians leading position in the Orthodox schools at risk, it would make sense to have someone here or in this neighborhood keeping an eye on things.
And the camera kind of cuts over to Young Turtle. Young Turtle, please mark water, which is what you rolled with.
Okay.
And I think that's the point at which you're kind of lifting up the floorboard and you see the of the fuse, and you kind of glance and you see the gunpowder barrels underneath the location. And you've realized that you have tripped a trap at some point here.
Oh no.
What do you do, Young Turtle?
I begin windmilling backwards while shouting, "Look out," and trying to dive away from the fuse.
So let me tell you this. if you want to get yourself out of there, you're not going to have to roll. It's going to be super easy. If you would like to help your friends get out, that's going to be a roll.
I've got to help my friends.
Okay. Then let's have you roll overcome.
I'm going to roll using fire.
That's probably a good call.
Ooh, a 1 and a 4.
So 5,
7.
7. So you're going to have to mark your fire for the moment.
Okay.
But tell me what that looks like. The other two are like doing the detective work, like looking at things and contemplating, and then you see this, and what do we see happen? What do we see on screen?
You see her kind of glance towards you actually see the decision play out. You see her kind of glance at the doorway, then glance at her friends, and then sort of move forward and shoves them both out of the way, one towards one open doorway and the other towards a window, trying to get them out of the blast area.
And you push them out, and what it is when the explosion occurs, you are lofted out into the street, and that kind of catches you. And it's one moment ago, Tian, Baosheng, were in the building, and then suddenly you're in the air, and then suddenly the air is filled with splinters and broken wood and pepper again, from the explosion, from all that didn't get swept up.
And when you see young turtle land, it's right beside the smoking pillow baby, still gently smoldering.
False. Yeah, you will hit, boom, come crashing down. It's not a huge explosion. It doesn't level the block, but it does destroy this building. Tian, what would you do?
I think Tian would get knocked off his feet and kind of roll, push off and roll back and up, and then jump up and back and pull himself up to a second story of the neighboring building, and then scan the street for a sentry who might have been posted to know when the explosion went off.
Cool. Let's have you make a study roll.
Okay. I think I'm going to roll this with fire, because this is he's kind of moving quickly and trying to catch a glimpse of one of them before they would move.
Okay.
Having established what's happened. And I roll very poorly. I got a 4 on the dice, plus 1 is a 5.
Then I think that you are going to have to mark that stat. And I think there is this moment where you kind of turn and you think you see someone, but there is this set of circular bladed discs that come flying past you, and eventually you're forced to drop down before you can really get a sense of who it was. But there's that, and it's kind of a hard hit as you roll out of the way of that.
Yeah, I think maybe the blades, one skips off of a tile on the roof, another chops through one, right where his leg was just a moment ago, and maybe it cuts part of his his pants, and then he kind of falls to the ground in a bit of a poof of dust.
Young turtle, when you hit the ground, do you lay there still, or are you up and away immediately?
I take a moment, sort of dazed, looking around, surveying you see me actually pick up the pillow baby and then throw it over my shoulder again, and sit up and look to see what my friends are doing.
Bai Xiaofeng, can shake your head, and you'll look over, and there is a moment when young turtle is still, but then she sits up, tossing the pillow baby behind her, smoldering.
So I would probably be the last one up, because I would say that the wound there that I have in my chest is opened up again, because that's a sudden amount of force that would definitely injure me again or re-injure it.
Mm-hmm.
However, as soon as I like come to and like hold my chest and look up, I check to see if I can see like young Turtle, like kind of get up slowly and check her, and like, you okay? You okay? Is there any injuries? While I'm like holding my hand and it's just blood coming down from the mark there.
She would say, "No, what about you?" Point towards the blood seeping out from his.
It's opened up again. I'll be okay. What was that?
I'll look around to see what Tian Yu is doing, where he is.
He kind of apparently tried to get up on the roof and then fell back down.
Oh dear, and I'll run over to make sure. Let's look at Tian Yu, and like, I'm sort of glancing. Everyone is injured. This is terrible.
Yeah, I think if we're kind of seeing a shot from Tian's perspective, it's got a little bit of the motion blur and like tinnitus from the explosion, because he's like both distracted and scattered, and kind of steadies himself on Autumn's shoulder and says, "Somebody knew," or actually he's like talking too loud. "Somebody knew that we would come looking to investigate."
Do you think it was young Snake?
It had to have been. Don't you think?
I like pull out the cloth, which is now like charred a bit. Like, well, this is useless now. At least we have a lead, and from there, if you want to check out that barge, but I've got to deal with this. I'll need a moment.
Well, we'll need if we're going to go aboard a gambling barge, we'll need good disguises. And you see young Turtle kind of like,
So I swear I'm seeing double right now. I think we have a concussion.
Let's take our 5-minute break here. Does that seem okay?
Yeah, sure.
And we will come back and look at the leads and follow up on those, all right?
All right.
Perfect. See you in a bit.
See everyone in a bit.
Stay tuned. See you in a bit.
We're back.
Okay. So we know that.
We lost Mike again, but that's okay. He'll sort it out. He lost the webcam. I don't know if his audio is.
Mike, are you there?
Oh no.
Let's
the
give
timing. The timing.
For those of you at home, welcome to Zoom.
Yeah. Welcome to general stream issues with video and voice chat. It's the amount of problems that we have on Infinity and Beyond with 6 people. It's like one's got this really, really complex audio setup because he does like DJing, music mixing, and podcasting and stuff. And his audio setup, because it's using really high quality equipment. Zoom can't. Mm-hmm. Zoom does this weird stuff to his audio, and he constantly has problems with it.
Yeah, Mike, can you hear us?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't touch anything. You've done it.
I think that USB gate is just done for.
Oh no. Yeah, that happens.
So we have we know that the gallant Saber Guardians, that there's things going on for you, Bao, Bai. We know that that's on the table. We know that we've seen Magistrate Gao and Magistrate Hao, and they're meeting with Silver Crane. So we know that that's on the table. We know that Weeping Shark is a contact of Tian Yu. It's another lead. And then the most direct lead you have is a connection from Silver Crane, or rather from Young Snake to this gambling, high-end gambling barge we would call the House of Profligate Numbers, which is there in the middle of the Grand Canal that runs through the city. And I understood that you 3 were thinking of going there. And that, Young Turtle, you were thinking of disguising yourself and your companions?
Yes. Well, I'm going to certainly disguise myself. I don't know if my companions require disguises. I will offer to disguise them if they... I myself will be a successful, rakish gambler.
I don't think they'll let a traveling doctor in. So I'll probably need some kind of disguise based on how affluent this gambling den is.
So how would you disguise Bao Shang?
I'm going to disguise him as part of my entourage, so he can retain his physician's kit, actually, and be there to tend to anyone who should be overcome by the excitement of gambling.
So a protective doctor, perhaps sent along by your family or your boss. Okay.
Yeah.
And then what about you, Tian?
Do we know, is it viable to interpolate within the fiction whether this is a place where showing up in the Heaven's Justice guise would be useful or be
given that it's populated by corrupt officials and the wealthy and fat cats of the city?
Right. So that's that type of criminals. So I think Tian will suggest disguising himself as an apprentice gambler to whatever identity. So I think Tian would tweak his hair and mannerisms to appear much younger than he is, and we'll do that. So that's gambler, apprentice, and doctor. All right.
Excellent. And it is evening. There's a sound of celebration, the music from the biwa, laughter, the clack of tiles, and dice being thrown, and all of that in beautiful colors. Tell me, what's the thing that most strikes you, Young Turtle, about this massive gambling barge, either as you come up on it or once you get inside?
Okay. Well, I'm a little overawed because despite all my sophisticated posing. This is the large and well lit and dauntingly huge place, but I'm going to make the most of it. But I'm struck by the variety of people, and I keep thinking I catch glimpses of someone that I recognize, and I'm not sure.
A certain amount of nervousness. I mean, there's still agents of your cobweb group out there. And for you, Bai Xiaofeng, now you've rubbed elbows with the high and mighty before, but you've fallen a little. Did you go to this kind of place before?
No,
have you been taken?
This is not his thing.
So
he would probably spot a few magistrates that kind of like decried him as part of the problem with the the Galleon Saber Guardians. But other than that, like, he would have no clue about any of this. This is all new to him. And
what would be the thing that he's most like awed about? Is it the sumptuousness? Is it the games? Is it the flowing drink?
I would think probably how many people of power are in this one spot, because not really used to that. And just the whole what would you say, like how over the top and extravagant it is.
And everything's done in that kind of red and gold and all of that decoration. Everything glitters in here. It's a completely artificial painted environment with murals and such. Tian, you've been to places like this.
Yeah, I think Tian has stalked prey and impersonated wait staff and other types at places like this to try to get close to targets.
What happened the last time you came to the House of Profligate Numbers?
I think the last time he came as basically using the same type of disguise that Young Turtle suggested, and was trying to run up to win enough money to be able to get access to coin that was marked as part of like a money laundering scheme in order to get the evidence needed, which he would then that he would ensure made it to Magistrate Gao. But he wasn't able to win enough money before people started suspecting his doubting his backstory, because he's not that experienced as a con artist.
Perfect. Young Turtle, are you presenting as male or female?
I'm going to present as male right now.
Okay. Then as you come in, they greet you, they bring you into the grand hall, and eventually you will see Auntie Gold will come over, glide over to you, and will greet you and say, welcome, young gambler. We have not seen you here in the House of Profligate Numbers before, have we?
Oh, no, perhaps not. I like to get around.
Well, certainly indulge yourself. We have a variety of tables and gambling, and if you wish to relax, we have young girls and young boys who can come and wait on you at your leisure should you need a private room or any other services that the house might be able to apply you with. What would be your game to start?
Oh, I'm going to begin with a drink, and I'll kind of swagger off in the direction of whoever has the closest alcohol.
Absolutely. You can walk over to one of the bar alcohol serving people, and she doesn't pay any attention to the other two because they are clearly help or junior to you, and so the three of you can wander in here. And so what do you want to do, Young Turtle?
I'm looking around. I want to know who's in this place, and I'm particularly looking for any sign of young snake.
Why don't you go ahead and make a study roll for me?
Okay. And I am going to use metal for this, for it is control, calculation, and reflection, which gives me +1. So 6 and 4 + 1, 11.
You have 2 hold to ask questions with or make declarations with.
Do I see any sign of young snake or those associated with young snake in the room?
I think that you will see a figure, and it takes you a second when you're kind of looking at that, and you kind of narrow your eyes, and you will see Uncle Silver, the other host of this. And there is this moment when he does stop and kind of like sneezes, just this slightest sneeze, like he's still got some pepper in his nose, and you'll realize that that is in fact young Snake. That one, either this identity or young Snake is a sort of fake identity, and he is clearly one of the 2 people who runs this barge.
And I'm going to watch him until it looks like he may be going somewhere, perhaps to a small private room to relieve himself, or out on deck for air. But I want to follow when he does.
Okay. So your declaration is that you see him heading.
Yeah.
Is he heading up top? Is he heading back? Where is he going?
He's heading up top.
Okay. He's got to clear his nostrils after this afternoon's mishap. So yeah, you see him, spot him heading up, and you can follow. What about you, Bai Xiaofeng?
I have no idea what to do, so I'm basically kind of just observing and following young Turtle. So if she ever commands me to do anything, I'll do whatever she says, because I have no clue. I've never done any kind of missions like this or jobs like this.
So you kind of follow in young Turtle's wake.
Yeah.
You know what strikes you about this is that young Turtle's really in her element. Like, you're engaged to this woman, and she's put on these disguises with a mastery that kind of makes you perhaps a little nervous. And now she's blended in with this environment, and she's gliding.
I'm like, how do people not notice it's me? That's
yeah, but that seems odd to you.
Yeah, it's a strange. Gives me a little bit of insight into her role in the family.
Does that give you any concerns about her as a fiancé?
I mean, it probably wouldn't give concern. It'd be more, I'd say, respect for her craft.
That's an interesting insight. So yeah, you're following the wake. Tian, you're a little more comfortable than Bai in this environment. So what are you up to?
I think I'm kind of casing the joint, and what specifically I'm looking for is, we're here to find young Snake, but also I know from my experience that one of the ways that you can bring down organizations is with a paper trail. Mm-hmm. And so I'm looking for an office room. And
let's have you make a study roll to see if you can locate the hidden protected office.
Yep. And what am I going to roll with? I'm going to roll with wood for curiosity.
Okay.
All right, I got 8 on the die, plus 1 is a 9.
Perfect. So you get 1 hold. What is your question? How do you phrase it?
Where is the office? Just pretty straightforward.
We'll see. We go to the back of the boat. Since I don't know nautical terms, it's the back of the boat. And you will see what looks like perhaps one of the people who's been running the tables has some papers, and you see them go back, kind of slide into an area. What is the device that they use that opens the secret door?
I think it's a there's a large coin on the wall, and in like there's a number of characters along that coin, like a pressed metal coin, and you have to change one of them to change, like basically move one of the strokes to change from one number to another number.
Perfect. So you'll see this person go, makes that shift, and then slides in, the door shuts, and that snaps back into place. So young turtle, you can head up onto deck. The smell of the city, the night air, it's there are people out here talking and laughing and drinking, and it's lit by, you know, a whole host of multicolored paper lanterns that are strategically displayed about the place. And certainly you will see young snake moving to essentially catch a bit of night air. It's good for you, that oxygen. It helps you grow, as I understand. So you know that Bai Xiaofeng is behind you. What do you want to do?
I am going to try to get close enough that I can take young snake by surprise.
Oh, interesting.
And I look like a drunken gambler who's just sort of like, I'm just looking, making for the rail while clutching my stomach.
Then let's have you roll overcome.
Okay.
You know from before that he's a higher scale than any of you, but you want to try and get yourself to a position here. Okay,
we'll try earth, which is +1, 6, and 3 + 1, 10.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, you will perfectly get yourself into position. The other thing I want to mention to you is that you have your style element marked, which means you need to do something about that before you can fight. You see young turtle heads over the rail and is kind of positioned herself and is kind of maybe waiting and watching. What do you do, Bai?
I have no idea what to do. I guess I will look for, in case anyone tries to attack young turtle. That would probably be my best bet if she's going after who she believes is young snake.
Okay. It looks like there are some guards out on deck, but they're far enough away that they're not essentially going to jump in if something goes wrong here. Not immediately.
Yeah, I mean, like, all I can do is just follow her around. Wait. I follow her around. Like, every time I see her follow her, I go, so, Master, please, you must steady yourself.
and young snake will turn and kind of looks over and he says, "Are you unwell, young master?"
I kind of reel around a bit, trying to draw him even closer, and then go ahead.
He steps forward and he says, some find the motion of the river somewhat unsettling.
I'm going to try and... Can I try to trip him so he falls off the boat?
That's an interesting point here. You're not fighting him. You just want to change his position, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, let's... what do you want to roll that with?
Oh, let's try it with metal.
Okay.
Okay.
I think in the fiction, it's only because you've set him up, and only because he's in this position that you have this opportunity to toss him off the boat.
A 3 and a 6, so 9 + 1 is a 10 again.
So as he comes over, concerned, there is that moment when your leg goes out, and he goes over the side and into the river.
They go, oh no, Master, what have you done? Please come back on board. You nearly fell overboard.
And I'll sort of pretend to be falling back towards the boat. Oh my goodness, he fell over.
And yeah, as you shout that, certainly we'll hear guards come running over to see what the matter is. They're going to have to help fish their boss out of the water. Let me cut from you two, having dumped young Snake overboard, to Tian. Tian, what are you doing?
So I'm gonna stay stay out of people's notice until the attendant or staff or whoever has come out of the office. And once they're gone, I will get my way into that office. Because again, I have the "it takes a thief" move, which lets me move through locked doors and windows as if they were open. So I can do the lock perfectly without a problem and very quickly, and slip into the office. And I'm going to start looking for kind of ledgers and paperwork that will let me kind of assemble a web of connections and crimes.
Okay. So certainly they have, there's a vault back here, the various accounting tables, abaci, ledgers and things like that. And are you going to try and use your tracing shadow then?
Yeah, if
that seems appropriate.
Enough of a sense of someone,
exactly.
Then I want to read the young Snake's web of connections.
Then let's have you do that.
All right, and I think this is still going to be wood, which is a +1. And I got 10 on the dice, +1 is 11.
Nice. So on a hit, you learn their entanglements, and a secret they would prefer hidden. You take a +1 forward. Young Snake is in love with Magistrate Gao.
Okay.
And you have the sense, based on the bad poetry that you find, that Silver Crane has gotten his criminal allegiance by essentially promising to arrange a marriage between Magistrate Gao and Young Snake. Like that's what he's in it for. Is that matter of the heart is what is driving him. He's still a villain, but this is certainly his weakness. Does that seem fair?
Yeah, I think so, because it's two, like it's information going in two directions, right?
Yeah.
Which that seems pretty good. I'd like to take some things here that are fictionally viable to be able to hide on my person, to have some paper trail.
Poetry, ledgers, letters, all those kinds of things you can conceal inside your gambler's cloak.
Cool.
Okay.
I'll do that. And you want to cut back now?
I'm going to cut back over to them. We've certainly created a distraction up here, Young Turtle and White Wind. It's even caused a commotion downstairs, so attention has been drawn away from Tian during this, and they will go to help fish Young Snake out of the water. What do you two want to do in the meantime?
I basically, frantically, you see a little bit of sweat pouring from my forehead as I look at Young Turtle and kind of be like, ooh.
I would like to try and find, no. I want to see where they take Young Snake, because my presumption is that they'll take him to his office.
You actually, so they will pull him out, and he is wet, and he does look around for you.
And I appear to be vomiting over the side at the moment. Clearly just miserable and wretched and fully prepared to vomit on him.
He will say to a couple of his guards, "Would you please see to the young master's comforts?" And a couple of the guards will nod, and will come over to kind of wait by you. And the other guards will kind of move to take a young snake clearly downstairs to get clothes and change, probably take him to one of the private rooms to have him cleaned up.
And so as the guards come to us, I'm basically like bowing and trying to apologize to the guards. Please tell Uncle, please tell him sorry. We didn't mean to. Forgive us.
No matter. It's no matter. Think nothing of it. Uncle has asked for us to take care of you. Please, if you two will come downstairs, a private room has been set aside for you.
Very, very well. Very well. Yeah, we must head downstairs.
I'm going to fall off the boat.
Okay. Let's have you roll overcome to do this so it looks perfectly natural.
Well, it cannot be anything but wood. It would be my impression, which is -1. But, oh goodness, a 1 and a 3. So a 3 altogether.
Oh no.
So you go overboard and you kind of hit the water. And as you start to come up, go ahead and mark wood. Go ahead and mark that stat. You will see, Bai Shao, that a couple of these guards have grabbed the same poles they were using to help get young snake out of the water, and they go to do the same thing to help young turtle out of the water, except this time they're not doing a great job. It's almost like they're trying to push young turtle under the water with these, and you're feeling that like they've got a hold of your clothing on the shoulders with the hooks on these things, and they are pushing you under the water right now. Let's see what White Wind will do, and then we'll come back to the drowning turtle.
I see the guards doing that. I probably if I can grab another pole and kind of like counteract it by trying to pull them out.
That seems like we're going to have a little fight.
Yeah,
quiet fight with the poles. Let's have you deal with troops.
Alrighty. Okay, so
you may roll with your style element.
Okay, we're gonna use water. Sorry, metal for this because it's my style element, and my dice. What's my? Oh no, I lost it. Okay, 2d6. 10. So 2 5s plus 2, so 12.
Tell me what that looks like. There are these guards here, like 3 of them with their poles. They're pushing your friend down to the water. You grab another pole, and what do we see on screen? How do you deal with them?
So I could see it being like a tussle where because of my practice with needles, it's kind of like just a really long needle, and so I'm doing all these like fancy kind of little shoves and pushes as I'm trying to pull her, and because they've got the hooks on her like pushing down, I kind of like cut away where the hooks are on their clothing, on young turtle's disguise, and I use that to kind of break her free from it and grab and hook her and kind of like pull her up.
Let me ask you this: do the guards end up in the water?
No, I would kind of be trying to thank the guards. I'm like, oh, thank you for helping, thank you, while I'm doing it.
So that like such that they can't really complain.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So yeah, they look frustrated and red-faced when they like their hooks come undone, and then you are pulled up above the water, young turtle.
Oh.
And I kind of like once again just start bowing to the guard, saying thank you for helping, thank you. He's had a little bit too much. I'll make sure.
Haul your master up, and we will have a change of clothes prepared for him.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Ah, good. Yeah. And they're muttering to each other, like they're clearly frustrated that this would have been a great moment for them to have dealt with this scofflaw, and it did not work for them. We'll cut away from a bedraggled young turtle coming back up onto deck. Back to Tian.
I think Tian is pushing his luck because having the connections is important, but I still don't know what their plans are. So I'm gonna keep searching through things in the office, increasingly nervous because I know that the longer you stay somewhere like this, the higher the chance that someone will come by. So he starts to quickly rifle through paperwork and is looking especially for things where maybe the ink is not totally dry, things that were just written in the last day or so.
Interesting. Let's have you make a roll for me. What are we going to roll with?
I still have a couple of elements closed, so I can't use that. So I think it's going to be, I think the patience is going to balance out being rushed. So I'm going to roll with wood again.
Okay.
So I got 9 on the dice plus 1.
So you've got 10, so you get 2 hold. So what's your first question or declaration?
Get the questions here.
Can I ask about a person or can I ask about a situation?
For one hold, I would like to know. I'd like to know the location of another of this faction's hideouts. That's referenced or alluded to in some paperwork.
There is an abandoned temple just on the outside of town that apparently they use as a mustering point. It apparently has some connections to some underground tunnels. Mm-hmm. And you can get that location.
And then I think with the second, I want to ask about their kind of immediate intentions.
They want to kill Bai Xiaofeng because they believe that Bai Xiaofeng may be able to detect that one of their people on the inside has continued to poison Ling Hua to keep her in this coma.
Cool.
And the sense that you get is that someone highly placed within the Gallant Saber Guardians is in fact continuing to apply this poison. So they do not want Bai Xiaofeng to visit.
So it's dangerous to take paperwork that's recent, but this letter or order is too valuable as evidence to leave. So I think what I want to try and do is dash off a forgery real quick to replace the paper that I'm taking.
Well, we'll come back on that roll. Okay. So the guards, Young Turtle, Bai Xiaofeng have gotten Young Turtle back up onto the deck, and they are gently but persistently suggesting that you come with them downstairs, where you'll be treated very well and given clean clothes and hot tea to make yourself warm.
I've been as difficult to boob as possible without it being as obvious as possible that I'm doing so deliberately. There's a lot of tripping and accidental swiping and grabbing at people and just sort of generally resisting as we go. And
so is your intent to not go downstairs, or are you going downstairs but with a show of reluctance?
I am actually placing small traps on the people that are pulling me downstairs.
Absolutely. Various things are being palmed off. We see sort of inset cut in shots of that, and they will take the two of you down to the front area of the ship. Again, not a nautical guy. Front area of the ship, and to one of these private rooms. They open it up. It seems a little more reinforced than some of the other rooms.
This is when I would like my traps to go off. And
okay.
This is my skill. Do you want me to read the skill so people?
Oh, I know the skill. Okay. Go ahead and roll.
We could read it out for people in case we do like a podcast version of this. We could always
So here, to increase your Hearts of Wulin knowledge, House of Traps. When you reveal a trap you've secretly set, roll a roll. On a hit, your opponent trips into it and you get an opportunity. On a 10 plus, take +2 forward against them. On a miss, the trap raises the stakes and consequences. All right.
What do you want to roll with?
Well, I'm running out of stats that are not marked, so let's go.
Doctor to help you out at some point here.
Let's go with metal again.
Okay.
All right. So it's +1, 3, and 1, and 1 is 5.
So, I think that what happens is this, is that you were compensating for the fact that you were in the water just a minute ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
And perhaps you overcompensated on the gunpowder and flash and so on. And I think that when you go to kind of set that off, what ought to have been like a trip or a knock or something, like, is a loud cracking explosion. And these guys fall back, and it makes a huge amount of noise. And you will see guards come running. Like, clearly, like, they know something is up. And these other guards are kind of rolling around on the floor, trying to put their clothes out. And we get the camera sort of the shocked look on Bai Xiaofeng's face as this mass of guards comes running to try and apprehend you and Young Turtle. What do you want to do, Bai?
I immediately like pick her up and just say, "We have to go now. They're coming for us." And just start like picking her up and pulling her away to probably, if we have to start like climbing on the outside of the boat to get to where
like break through a window and climb outside.
Yeah. We're gonna have to start.
Let me ask Young Turtle, if Bai goes to grab you to do that, are you cool with that?
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
I just want to check in. In that case, Bai, let us have you make an overcome roll for this.
Alrighty. Okay, here we go. Roll again. I get I'm using
water, fire?
Sorry, I lost my thing. I'm using water. Yeah, I'm gonna use water for awareness. I think that's a good mix for this. And I get a 3 and a 2, so 5 and 1, 6. Oh no.
Okay, now don't forget you can always burn a bond to get yourself.
I could actually. I might do that because I don't want Young Turtle to get in trouble. So I might burn the bond.
Okay, so it'll take you to 7 to 9. And here is the cost, I think. As you kind of get out, you kind of are pushed back, and you see one of the guards go, "It's Bai Xiaofeng! It's Bai Xiaofeng!" And they start shouting that as the two of you are clambering up the side of the ship. Like,
I can see my disguise falling off. Yeah.
and they've been alerted. They're looking for you. Like the group is. So they are shouting. Tian, you've got the papers, and you're just about to start the forgery when you hear all kinds of alarms and hell breaking loose. And maybe in the distance you hear the shout of "Bai Xiaofeng." What would you do, Tian?
I think I look to the paper and decide to fold it and slip it into my jacket, and then kind of listen at the door and try to slide back out of the office. Or actually, is there an exterior window for this room?
Probably not for these rooms because they're kept secure. But
yeah, that's fine.
If you just want to get out, luckily your friends have provided a good cover for that. So it will be no problem for you to slip out. I don't even think we need a roll for that. But what do we see on screen?
I think we cut to the hallway, and guards are kind of are traveling away from where Tian is, and there's the guards at the door are fighting over like which one of them has to go, and then we see Tien like kind of going to kind of where there would be like dinghies or something to leave, and he's kind of coughing like he's he's kind of inhaled some smoke, and just kind of tries to go right by the guards and say, "I have to get off."
And you absolutely be able to slip past. Young Turtle, you were pulled out of this. You and Bai Xiaofeng got you out of there. You hear his name being called. Tell me, what does this escape look like? Do you jump off into the river? Do you swing on a rope? What do we see the two of you getting away from the barge?
I think you see the two of us sort of exchange looks and then just jump in unison off the side of the barge in a rare moment of accord. Does that work for you?
Yeah, that works. Like, in a way, like, since Bai Xiaofeng's never done this before, it's sort of exciting. It's his first time. You see him like give up another smile.
Okay.
As we jump in.
Absolutely. And two of you are in the water, dive down, take off. We might see some people throwing like torches down onto the water surface to kind of maybe try and get a side at you. Maybe a few bow shots from guards. But the two of you can make your way over to the riverbank. And we will assume that the three of you will, two of you very wet, one of you very, very polished and clean, will meet up at a pre-assigned rendezvous point.
Yeah. So probably an alleyway. I would say close to the Gallant Saber Guardians training camp. Because if we need to go there urgently, we can at least get there safely.
Right. I think.
And so we're Young Turtle and we're just puffing away. And we're soaking wet. And we see like Tien come just, yeah, you got out safely?
What happened?
Things didn't go well. Just looking around to see if we can hear any guards or anyone moving about.
No, they're not pursuing off the boat.
You made quite a commotion, and as a result, and then Tien will start pulling out paperwork, and he stacks up ledgers and notes and whatever, and like pulls some like it's kind of comical how much he's stolen. And then he unfolds the paper on the top and spins it around, which is the order to capture and kill Bai Xiaofeng. And kind of reveals it. Says, if we get to the Gallant Saber Guardians tonight, they may be able to keep you safe. That's where you need to be anyway, right?
Yeah. Hopefully we can get there. We're close, but yeah. We should probably start heading that way in a sec. So to catch my breath. That's what you do? And I look at a Young Turtle.
Oh, sometimes, one just gets around, and occasionally one jumps off of boats for one reason or another, and then I'll get very busy wringing water out of my clothing and tucking away various, you can see like bits of tiny traps that I'm like redistributing among pockets, and very clearly not going to speak about this.
I didn't expect that. I thought we were dead. So, shall we go?
I think that's an excellent idea.
So the three of you can make your way through the streets, and you are heading over to the Gallant Saber Guardians hall. And certainly it is after hours. There are lanterns up, but it is dark. And you pound upon the doors here, and eventually a doorman throws open a slat and says, "The hour is late. Who is it that comes to call?"
Tell Lang that it's White Wind.
Hold on. And there's some discussion that goes on for a moment or two, and then the big bolt is thrown back on the door, and it opens up, and there's a couple of keepers here. They've got lanterns, and they gesture for you and your friends to come inside. And they will then shut the door behind you and throw the slat to lock it behind you as you're out in a big come past the wall, so it's a courtyard for the household. And one of them will say, "We will wait here until we have heard from the mistress."
Very well. And I kind of look towards young Turtle and say, listen, what's gonna happen next? Just I'm sitting there just trying to think of the word, and I just stop and pause the entire time. And it's like that for a minute as I can't think of anything to say.
And then you will see a group of people, probably a couple of guards, a woman, and some handmaidens that come rushing down the avenue, and you will see this beautiful, immaculately made up Wulin woman. She has the sword at her side, and she rushes, and she has eyes for no one but Bai Xiaofeng. And you will see Ling Hua comes rushing up to where you are at, Bai, and ignores the other two and takes your hand.
Mm-hmm. And I say, Ling, how are you?
I am well, my darling. I mean, Bai, it has been. Then she kind of realizes that she's got your hands kind of held in an indiscreet way, and she pulls her hands back.
Yeah.
Can I have you make an inner conflict roll?
Oh no. Yeah. So I'll just put it on stream so people know what's actually happening. So inner conflict. When you come face to face with an emotional turmoil, you roll dice, and on a 10+, you manage to keep together. On the 7 or 9, you either flee or mark an element. All right, here we go. Roll. Get a 5, and it's a fail.
Well, no, because here's what you do. If you didn't declare, you need to re-roll.
Okay. I forgot to declare my. I was gonna. This would probably be. I would actually use metal for this. This is control calculation. See if I can.
Let's have you re-roll.
Stay in control.
With metal this time.
And I rolled. I rolled a 5 again. 4 and a 1.
So that's a 7, though.
It's a 7. Yes.
Now you can mark your metal.
I'm going to mark my metal.
Okay. Young Turtle, you see the man you're engaged with blush and react as this beautiful woman comes over and clearly presents affection for her. Maybe I'm going to have you roll inner conflict as well.
Alrighty. A 3. Oh, I'm sorry.
Earth or metal?
Let's go with metal.
Okay.
All right. So I presume we'll keep the 3.
Sure.
And a 6. So 3 plus 6 plus
1.
1. So 10.
What do we see? How do we know that you are keeping it together?
Well, you see young Turtle's face basically when the woman rushes over. You see it kind of go from smiling to just absolutely shuttered and emotionless, and you see her pointedly look away, biting her lip slightly, and you get just a sense of just a very tightly coiled presence for a moment, but then she just sort of looks down, and the seems to be repressing all feeling.
Bai Xiaofeng, you can't see my sister tonight, but we should get you and your friends somewhere so that you can get
Yeah, a bit wet. I apologize.
Who are these associates of yours?
This is Tian Yu. He's a former patient. He was just passing by and he needed a bit of help, and I thought I'd just check up on him. Do you mind if I do it inside the guest room?
Oh, please, let's go. And gestures to young turtle.
And this is Autumn.
Greetings to you, Autumn. You are also soaked to the bone.
I'll drop a single nod, clearly at a loss for words.
Well, the three of you would come with me, and she and her handmaidens and guards will take you and bring you to a set of guest rooms, and clearly puts you, young turtle, in one, and offers one to Tian and another one to Bai Xiaofeng. Essentially, 3 adjoining rooms with young turtle as far away from Bai as possible. And she said, I must go and see to this. I will have clothing sent to the 3 of you.
Thank you.
Food. I know that we have some people heat something up, and she leans and she goes, should we talk before you rest, or
I think it might be better if we wait till morning, but you could quickly tell me how she's doing.
She is the same as always.
Did you follow the instructions I gave before I left?
Yes, of course. Though
Okay.
There were those who spoke against it.
No change?
There is no change. And she looks herself and she says, there is no change. As if to say, in my heart either.
Yeah. And I'm pretty much just like, can we?
I'm trying you. I'm taxing you.
Yeah, I know. I understand. I
will go. And she looks embarrassed. And
we'll speak later.
Food is brought. Tea is brought. Change of clothing is brought for the 3 of you. And you can have a chance to talk.
And I'm just like staring at young turtle. I'm not even having anything to drink just yet.
So since Tian is in some ways in better shape, I think he jumps right into talking and says, the Gallant Saber Guardians should know that people are after you, and they have to know that forces in Wulin are moving against their leadership in the Orthodox factions, but how much can we tell them freely, given how tangled up we've become already in all of this? How much can we trust them?
I don't know. I mean, like, I trust Ling. I trust Crystal Flower. And I knew a bit of Leanne, but she's currently in her situation. I can't really. So, are you sure that there's someone within the Galleon that is working for Silver Crane?
I mean, I had to read everything quickly, but I've studied how to read the connections between people, like it were.
There wasn't any names, no codes, no.
That's probably a fictional position. Clarification, Lowell.
You know it's a highly placed person, but you don't know who.
Okay. I can't be certain.
That one.
Yeah, I can't be certain who, but from the way that they're talking, the details that they relay, I can't see how it could be anyone else. Unless the Galasaper Gardens have brought someone else into their household, placed at a high level, that would be in a position to do this. Do they have other physicians or other associates that you know of?
I haven't been here in a long time. I don't know. But before I left, I did instruct Ling to keep giving a certain medicine once a day to Leanne in hopes that perhaps it might help her. But it seems it hasn't helped. So I don't...
Well, and this is why. And he says, like, pointing to, like, oh, this, and then, like, shuffling papers around. We need to know who all has had access to her, who might have been able to switch the medicines or administer something else. Like, that's how that would work, right? Could you fake one medicine as another without anyone noticing?
Yes.
If there were more?
You could. You could hide the smell and the taste of a medicine with another. However, the best person to ask that would probably be Crystal Flower, since she is a member, one of the family, you could say. She's very close to both Leanne and Ling. And we don't want to ask the brother. In fact, I kind of like, give me a moment, and I go to the door and I kind of like peek out and I see if the brother is like in the hallway.
No, not yet.
Zemin isn't here yet.
Because Zemin thinks you tried to kill his wife.
Yep. If you see someone named Zemin, don't tell them I'm here, please. Shall we? I mean, like, so you found another hideout, you said, as well, that was in a cave or somewhere. What was it?
It's, I think, was it an abandoned temple, right?
Yep. Abandoned temple. I mean, like, they would have to somehow transport the goods to the poison to this place, and I mean, like, using a monk would be quite a good way to get in and out while giving the poison to someone.
And even in particular, he saw that there are underground tunnels from this temple.
Yeah. And if they're using that as some kind of smuggling ring under there, maybe. Right, that'd be perfect.
If those tunnels allow them a different angle of attack on this compound.
Yeah, maybe there could be a tunnel that leads all the way here.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think you would be able to try and find such a tunnel? While I dealt with Crystal Flower and Ling and Lian Hua.
Well, I don't know how much leeway will be given.
I'll see if I can get you free access, just as a guest.
If you've prescribed an evening walk to get the chi moving, perhaps.
Yeah, I could probably say it as part of his your recovery. He needs to have night walks in the night air.
Fresh air, it's good.
Yeah, helps you grow. Oxygen. It seems to me that you three will kind of probably have to recover and sleep here through the night.
Yep.
The next day. And so, number one, everyone may clear one of their elements.
Yes, I'm clearing metal because I can't fight without it if I need to.
I would suggest clearing, yes, your... And I think this is where we'll take up next time.
Perfect.
Crystal Flower in and connect this all up. I hope that's okay. Next time, I also want to deal with what's going on in Young Turtle's head.
Oh,
having seen this.
It's a complex mess of emotions.
Okay. So end of session, what we do is we check in, and by it looks like we've hit both of your entanglements, right? Like both of them came up.
Yep.
So that will be 2 points for one and 1 point for the other. So that's 3 more points.
Okay, so is that XP you're talking about, or
XP? Yes.
Okay, so it puts me on 9.
So wrap it around to 1.
Yep.
And what you can do with that is there are 2 choices. You can add, or 3 choices. You can add a move from your playbook. You can add a move from another playbook, or you can raise one of your stats.
I might raise my I'd say I'd raise my medal by 1. I think I need to get that a bit higher, so that's now plus 3.
And you can only raise each stat once with an advance.
Yep.
So, okay. Let's come to Tian. I think we got your romantic.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think the Silver Crane in general, we touched on that. You're still pursuing that line, so that's 3 points for you as well.
Okay, so that'll take me to 8, which is an advance as well.
Yep. And then Young Turtle, we definitely hit both of yours.
Excellent.
So that'll be 3 more experience points. So you'll be able to wrap that around to 1 and get...
I'm going to think about what I want to do with my...
Yeah, absolutely. So that's our session for tonight. Any feedback? What we do usually when we play the Gauntlet games is every other session we do what's called Stars and Wishes. I go around and stars, essentially I go to each player, and if they want to point to something they really liked about the session, about another player's play, that kind of thing, I'll have them say that. And then wishes are things that you may want to see more of, things that you'd like to lean into. So Saad, would you mind if I started you off with the stars and wishes?
To be honest, I loved every bit of this. It was so fun. I was so fun that I forgot to pick my element every time I rolled, and I'm like, I've got to pick my element before I roll. I kept forgetting. But yeah, because I'm quite a big RP fan. Everything there, from the investigating to the disguising to having that kind of escape combat. It was amazing, and it's a good ending as well for the session as well. And everything is going up very well, and Bai Xiaopeng is just he's it's interesting because now he knows how Young Turtle has how she does things, so it's kind of opened him up to her a little bit more than usual.
Yeah. Which is why we have the chance to change and evolve those entanglements too. Yeah. What is forefront in your mind? Anything that you like wish you like, okay, I definitely want to see more of this next time, or anything?
All of this was great. All of it. I had no complaints.
That's a fair response. Mike, stars and wishes from you?
Yeah, I was really happy to be able to do some kind of thiefy, investigative bits, kind of showcasing the Heaven's Justice side in terms of like thief, magistrate cross-training kinds of stuff. So that was really fun. I feel like the moves really support me playing the way that I want to. So I'm really happy with how that playbook is kind of enhancing the fiction. And I want to give a shout out to Kat for really great play with Young Turtle. I think it's been fun to have like these 3 characters all have like a little bit of a shell game with their identity, and I feel like Kat did a great job in showcasing both the breadth of that and the tensions as how it shows up for Young Turtle.
True.
And wishes, I'm excited to see some combat in a future session. We had a little bit in the start. We had a little bit of stuff on the edges there, and I love the idea of like fishing someone out or trying to drown them as combat. But I really connected with wuxia through martial arts and growing up studying martial arts. So it'll be fun to get to see that on display.
Yeah, we'll get some worthy foes for you to fight.
Yeah.
Probably next time. Excellent, awesome. Kat, any thing you want to say for Stars and Wishes?
Well, two things. One is that I still think that the moments of cinematography that we get such a chance to engage in is a lot of fun. And I particularly like how atmospheric, how you're bringing in the sounds and the smells. I liked the moment where Tian Yu and Magister Gao were interacting, because Mike had described it as that Lois Lane, Clark Kent interaction, and it really kind of, I think, got showcased there nicely. So that was a lot of fun. So
that was a really good bit.
Looking forward to the next session.
Anything you're like, okay, I want to see more of this?
Maybe at the beginning we could have like a brief, just for the benefit of the players, like a couple of sentences. Like in our last session, we left off and they were doing X. Would be handy for the people that are sort of like, what are these folks doing?
That's smart. Yeah.
Game?
A little more structured recap at the beginning. Okay, that sounds great. And then let's do our sort of exit mentions of where we can find everybody and what you work on. Saad?
Yep, twitch.tv/Sod_. That's where I stream various video games. You also see me here multiple times. In fact, you'll actually see me here on Thursday for Emberwind with John Helfers as the GM, and for Infinity Beyond next month, as well as more Emberwind and more of this, hopefully, if we can get it. It's just Lots of cons are on, so everyone's it's con season.
Yeah, luckily Gen Con is very early, and
and hopefully we get Joyce back. I mean, it was just unfortunate she couldn't join us at the last moment. And we actually, I'll show this on stream. We actually set up a quick, where is it, the notes? So we've got like a little notes panel here with so we can communicate with each other and make sure everyone's got their names correct and such. And
super helpful.
It's been very helpful, because when you're trying to remember people's names, it can be hard sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Mike, what about you? Where can we find you, and what are you working on?
Yeah, I've got I'm kind of finishing up edits on a novel that's coming out early next year, but it hasn't been announced yet. So folks can follow me at Mike R. Underwood on Twitter for that announcement when it does come. Of course, please listen to Speculate that Greg and I do together. That's Speculate SF. You can find it at speculatesf.com. And I have a Patreon where I do essays about the business and craft of writing, as well as some stuff about role-playing games. The latest thing, I had a free post about modulating threat and tone in Forged in the Dark RPGs, all the different tools that the game gives you for a more cinematic or more lethal kind of game. And you can find that at patreon.com/Michael R. Underwood.
That's great. It's a really nice lens to use on Forged in the Dark. It's such a good system, and it's neat to see people looking at those kinds of issues in it. That's great.
Thanks.
Kat?
If people are going to be at Confluence next week in Pittsburgh, I'll be there, and I'll be at Gen Con in a couple of weeks. You can always find me on Twitter, sometimes too often, as Kat Rambo. And if you're curious about what's coming up in classes and stuff like that, I just put out my latest newsletter, which has all of the new things, including some stuff you can't find elsewhere. Yay!
And as I mentioned at the start, I'm part of the Gauntlet gaming community, which includes 6 different podcasts. We have an online calendar of games, about 200 sessions each month. Most of those are recorded. We also have a Patreon that supports all of that. It supports our monthly magazine Codex that's very professional across a variety of games. I'm the co-host of the Gauntlet podcast, which is our sort of look at games we've played in the community. We have forums. You can find out all about that at gauntlet-rpg.com to kind of check out the material. You can also follow us on Twitter at Gauntlet RPG, and I encourage you to check that out. You can also check out my YouTube channel, since I normally record about 3 different games each week. and that rotates on a 30 plus games, different ones I ran last year. So if you're looking for a system that you're wondering what it looks like, you can always check there, and I might have run it. Thank you everybody for playing, and especially
thanks for hosting it,
Todd, for taking care of all the tech issues. Again, super job. Really appreciate it.
I mean, like, it helps after doing this for a few years and knowing where everything can go wrong. You can at least fix those problems. But yeah, thank you.
Thanks so much.
And thanks for GMing, because you're a great GM for this. This is, and I think I kind of like 3 hours. 3 hours seems to work really well for this game. Like the 3 hour mark. 3
hours has become that's how much I like to run. 3 hour blocks. If you do a 2-session game, it's like one big long session, but it's a nice break in the middle. It's my ideal time length right now.
Seems to work very well. I just noticed, because a lot of games you can go on further, like D&D. You usually need like 2 hours to settle in, and you have like two or 3 hours of really intensity. But this, you can just flow in and out quite easily for a shorter span.
And I will say, I watch the clock like a hawk to make sure that people don't feel like we're getting pressed up against time or anything. So.
Yeah, I think the styles of games where scene and conflict resolution are more on the table, or more what the systems are oriented toward, I find that lets you structure your time a little bit more in a little bit friendlier fashion, versus something that's a bit more tactical, combat oriented, or like very very individual task oriented. And that's just different styles.
When I run 13th Age face to face, I will tell you, I can lose track of time and have people go, "I'd like to go to bed now, Lowell." So
that'd be right.
All right.
All right.
Thanks everybody.
See
you next time for more of this.
Absolutely. We'll get that worked out later. All right.
See you, Ron.
Right.
Bye.
See ya.